What's the word on Shadowing for it? I love it. Come on, Troy. You can put the scoop.
Waiting for the show to go on.
Oh, okay. Tennessee gets ranked number 2, and then they. Then the next.
Put on a shooting exhibition.
Yeah. I mean,
All right, going to the news.
is your headsets on?
There's no on live yet. Come on, Tony.
I mean,
It's all the days in Mississippi. It really affects your IQ.
IQ.
Welcome to the Goatee Sports Page. Coming to you live from the Blue Tick Tavern in Maryville at 105.1 FM. Streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Bringing you the best in local sports since 1978. Featuring the Greenfield Gunner, Mike Edwards. Former Maryville Scot, Donnie Moore. Former UT coach, Ray Trail. From the Daily Times, Marcus Fitzsimmons. And Troy Provo Heron.
Yeah, they get loud.
Hello, everybody, and greetings from the Blue Tick Tavern in downtown Maryville. I'm Mike Edwards, Greenfield Gunner, along with Donnie Moore, Troy Provo Heron, Marcus Fitzsimmons, Coach Ray Trail, and this is the Goatee Sports Page. Bruce Pearl and his Auburn Tigers come to Knoxville, and we're going to the whistle blows. And now let's set today's lineup card, sponsored by Blunt Partnership. It's the University of Tennessee Sports Report, sponsored by the Cherokee Group and the Klein Dental Arts SEC Notebook, with volunteer legend, football coaching legend Ray Trail, Daily Times sports editor Troy Provo Heron, and veteran sports writer Marcus Fitzsimmons. Carson Newman assistant football coach Tony Iruli is also with us. Today we'll look back on the SEC Big 12 Challenge, the Vols game with Florida, and set the stage for today's contest with the Auburn Tigers. Goatee Sports Page veteran Donnie Moore will announce high school scores from around the area, and then Mark It Down with Marcus Fitzsimmons, sponsored by Mandy B. Street Realty, features Alcoa Tornado girls basketball. Daily Times sports editor Troy Provo Heron unveils the Anderson Lumber Company High School Player of the Week, as William Blunt boys basketball will be featured. Donnie Moore and the panel discuss sports headlines from around the country before the Tennessee Smoky Spotlight shines on the college basketball rankings, a little NCAA bracketology, along with some Lady Vol basketball. And finally, the panel gives their shelter insurance bowl predictions for the week. And now it's time for the UT Sports Report, sponsored by the Cherokee Group and the Klein Dental Arts SEC Notebook, featuring former UT coach, assistant football coach Ray Trail, Daily Times sports editor Troy Provo-Heron, and Marcus Fitzsimmons, along with Tony Iruli. Good morning to all of you. And Coach Trail, it's good to have everybody back, I guess, this morning. We only had 3 last week, but we got a full crew here this morning, huh?
Well, we did such a good job. They was afraid they're going to lose their job.
Daggone, they were in here about 7 o'clock this morning, I believe.
Everybody's here early today.
Everybody said we better get back up there. They don't need us.
Yeah.
All I know is it's good to be amongst friends. I had a long trip from Mississippi to come back here.
Tony was in Mississippi about 12 midnight last night. He drove all night to be here.
Just to hang out, to be around smart, intelligent individuals.
Yeah. Hey, last Saturday, the SEC and Big 12 had their annual basketball challenge, really for the last time, because next year the SEC will be playing, will be joined up with the ACC.
Yeah.
I'll start with Troy Provo-Heron, since he's been off a little bit, going to school. The Big 12, 7 wins. The SEC, 3 wins. In the challenge, did it go about as you expected, Troy, or not?
Yeah, Big 12, a much better conference, top to bottom. I think, you just look at what the AP Top 25 is right now and how many teams in the top 15, top 25 the Big 12 has. And the SEC currently sits with 3 teams, and one is, with a loss today, will get bounced from there too. So I think the SEC is probably having a down year opposed to years in recent past, and the Big 12 is obviously kicking butt. So they seem to be a force to be reckoned with right now.
Yeah, there was a couple of teams in the SEC that did have a big day, Coach Trail. Tennessee beat number 10 Texas 82-71, and I thought Missouri, 78-61 over number 12 Iowa State. That was a big win for them. But there was also some surprises.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't look for Oklahoma to beat number 2 Alabama like they beat them, 93-69. Huh?
That was the most surprising one of all, and I would have picked Alabama to win that ball game. But that was a shock. And I think it shocked Alabama too. I mean, because I think they went in there about half thinking that we got a gimme here.
Yeah.
And that didn't happen.
Yeah.
And you go into things like that. They're not somebody that you play all the time. You know very little about them, and it's hard to prepare for them.
Uh-huh.
And I think a lot of those teams looked like they were not prepared to play.
Yeah. I was also surprised with Auburn losing over at West Virginia, Marcus. That was a little surprising. They lost 80-77 to a West Virginia team who really had been struggling in the Big 12. And then Kentucky losing it at home to number 9 Kansas. Kansas had lost 3 straight going into Rupp. I thought Kentucky would add to their misery because they'd been playing pretty well.
Yeah, we should probably take a mulligan for talking about Auburn last week, because if we looked up on the screen, we could already see it was not going the way we thought it was, because that was the early start. West Virginia started and Auburn didn't.
Yeah.
By the time Auburn considered playing, they were already down by 20. But the Kentucky game, that was the one we talked about, and that one kind of went like I thought it would. That Kansas came in on a 3-game losing streak, but Kansas came in trying to get off that 3-game losing streak. And I don't think Kentucky was quite ready. I think they were listening a little bit instead of watching the tape and seeing what Kansas could do.
Yeah. Tony, you're real familiar with Mississippi down there, so we're gonna save this one to you. The Mississippi State Bulldogs, 81 to 74 over TCU, number 11 ranked TCU.
Yep.
Down there in Starkville. So, did you catch that game while you were down there?
Well, no, I mean, since I'm down there all the time.
A little bit busy, weren't you, Tony?
Yeah. Well, to me, basketball is such a hard sport to predict sometimes, because you think teams are playing so well, then they come into a game where they think they should be able to win. They don't do it. I mean, so it's hard a prediction. But it was obviously a great win for Mississippi State. And, again, when you go to Mississippi, you better be ready to play, because there's some factors there that goes in the Mississippi State favors.
It didn't help that TCU's best player hyperextended his knee in the early minutes and didn't come back.
They were beat up a little bit. But that doesn't show up a lot of times in the box scores. Right. So, hey, let's talk about this Tennessee basketball team. Last Saturday, they beat Texas 82-71 in Knoxville. Scored a lot of points. Coach Trail gave up a lot of points, 71 points, so to speak. They were only giving up, I think, around 50 points on the average going into that game. Number 1 ranked defense in the country. And I told somebody after the game, I said, well, we scored a lot of points, but we gave up a lot of points, and that's not really who we are. And then what happened? We went down to Florida, and
we wasn't who we
we
are
gave
there
up.
down
We gave up a lot of points, and we didn't score any, which
Bad combination.
yeah, bad combination.
We couldn't hit a shot down there. I tell you what, I've never seen such shooting in my life. I don't believe we made 2 3-point shots the whole game. It looked like it was everything we threw up there was hit a rail and come right back. It come right back to Florida every time. The guy would be standing there and catch it. Nobody around him. The ball comes off. Boom, there he's got it.
I'll say one thing about this basketball team. They'll make a statement when they're good, and they'll make a statement when they're bad.
Oh, yeah.
There's no getting around it. And they were 19 for 68 from the floor down there at Florida, 27.9%, 5 for 25 from three-point range at 20%, and the only bright spot was the fact they hit 11 out of 12 free throws. I don't see how they hit 11 out of 12 free throws and hit those kind of percentages. Yes. But anyhow, that was just unbelievable to me that they would go down. And I thought it would be problematic. I didn't think they'd lose the basketball game.
Yeah, there's so much offensive inconsistency with this team. Like, they looked so good against Texas, and like you said, they kind of felt like they made a statement about we're not just a defense team. We can play offense, and we play offense really well. That team looks like a Final Four team when it plays offense well. And when it plays like it did against Florida, it looks like it's going to lose in the first round of the NCAA tournament to a 15 seed.
Yeah.
Yeah, they may have done some partying down at Gainesville the night before the game.
I don't know, laying on the beach. Took the bus over to the beach during the day. I don't know what went on down there. But, Marcus, Florida got beat, 14, I think, in the challenge, and then they're back home again. They're playing Tennessee. I know they got a good crowd down there. Tennessee had the number 2 ranking coming into the game, but Tennessee spotted Florida 17 points, 17-4 to start the game. That'll do a whole lot for your confidence if you're trying to upset somebody right off the bat, huh?
Well, isn't that how you draw it up if you're trying to pull the upset?
Yeah.
I mean,
start fast.
Yeah.
I don't know any coach that would turn that down. Coach, if we want to start the game with a 17-4 run, no, I think we'd rather be down.
We play better when we're down.
Yeah. I think that was a big factor in the game. And then, Coach Trail, we got up 6, under 9 minutes to go, and I'm sitting there, and my wife and I were watching the game. I said, well, Deb, it's over now. I said, we're up 6. They've given it their best shot, and it's going to go to 6, and then it's going to go to 12, and then it's going to go to 15, and da-da-da-da-da. And about a minute later, it was tied up again. And I thought that was a big part of the game. Little rush on the shots maybe there, maybe not taking as much time, a little undisciplined in the offense during that span with Tennessee.
I thought the last part of the game that Tennessee looked totally unorganized. They came down and just threw the ball up there more or less. And they just didn't come down and set up or do anything. Just came down and shoot, and you're not making them. I think that would give me a sign that we need to do something different here.
Yeah.
And but I thought they just got totally outplayed on the game, but Florida kind of went in spurts. They would jump out there, get 10 points. And then they'd kind of let off, and then they'd jump out there and have another streak there where they'd get like 12, 14 points. And that's the way it went the whole game.
Yeah.
It was
and they tried to take their crowd out of it, but then they came back with these spurts and put the crowd right back in the game, which you don't want to have. Troy, I'm sitting there watching the game, and I'm looking at Florida. I'm looking at their offense, and I don't know what they're running out there, but they're running something on the perimeter, and they got Castleton out there at the top of the key, and I'm thinking, well, what do you got him out there for? And he's not really been able to maneuver for a fourth of the game, and then all of a sudden he breaks loose. But they'd take a shot, And there's no Florida players under the goal. I mean,
Not a
there's
soul.
did you notice that?
Yeah.
4 Tennessee players under there,
Yeah,
not a Florida
and
player. And I just sat there and said, well, there's no way they can win this game with no offensive boards. And it's not a fact they're not getting any. They got nobody even under there to even
No.
attempt to get a rebound. Did you notice that, Troy, or not? Or was it just me?
I think that's an interesting strategy from Florida because, like, as good as Tennessee's defense can be at times, how they generate most of their high efficiency offense is through transition. And if you do that, there's no transition to be had. You kind of eliminate that and you force them to beat you with shots in the half court. And as we've talked about, it's a very inconsistent shooting team, and they couldn't do that against Florida. And so it's a bold strategy, but it worked.
Yeah. Marcus, the other night, unlike other Tennessee games, it seemed like the majority of the games this year, when the game was on the line, somebody made the big shot, they made the big play, they made a combination of shots, but it just looked like in the last 2 or 3 minutes in this game, panic for some reason set in, uncharacteristic for this team. They just got in a hurry on their offense, forced 3-point shots, just looked like there was a coming of apart in that last 2 or 3 minutes. Did you notice that?
I thought it showed that they have not been down by that much late in a while. And it was an unfamiliar situation, and they didn't
know how to handle
they
it.
didn't react as well as they have in the past because, I mean, it's a difference when you're down 4 or 5 and it's a 2-possession game versus a 4-possession game and having to chip away that little bit to get it to a 2-possession game. It just didn't seem like they were able to make that kind of leap.
Yeah.
Like they were pressing too hard for that.
Yeah. Tony, this basketball team, they substitute a lot. They bring people in. They bring people out. They hang their hat on defense. They're the number 1 defensive team in the country, going into this week. But they gave 71 points up to Texas last Saturday, and they gave, 60-some points up to Florida in this basketball game, lost by 14 points. Doesn't look to me like in these last 2 games that they have gotten that tenacity on that defense, that domination, that really getting after people. It just looks a little bit more laid back, almost like they're a little bit tired. I don't know. Is that me or?
Well, I think it's just a combination of things. I mean, now they've moved up to number 2 in the country, and all the focus is on them, and the pressures of competing at a very high level. It has a lot of factors go with it. But again, Tennessee's always been known for playing great defense and in critical moments of a game, and when they're not doing that, that's kind of goes against what the Tennessee basketball program is really built upon.
Yeah, that's Rick Barnes.
Yeah,
that's what he hands his head on you.
yeah.
If you're going to play for Rick Barnes, you better play defense, or you're not going to see the floor.
Right.
Pretty
And
much.
that's always been the key for wherever he's been at, whether it's been at Texas or as an assistant coach. I mean, he builds his program from defense.
And Coach Trail, the other night they weren't playing very much defense, and some of those players didn't see the floor for very long. They were running it out. It looked like Grand Central Station, didn't it?
I tell you what,
Out.
but
Huh?
the look on his face is like, what do I do now?
Yeah.
I've substituted this guy. I've substituted that guy. But
He just didn't have the right. He just felt like he never got the right combination
No,
of players
it
out there
just-
during the game.
I disagree with that. I mean, people will talk about, well, you don't get tired and all this. You're supposed to get a little tired in the game. I mean, if you're playing the way you need to play, you're going to get tired. I'm sorry, but if you only can play 3 or 4 or 5 minutes out of the game, something's wrong here. And you should have 5 guys. This is me. I've never played basketball, but you got to have a team, and that's why they call it a team. Of people go out there that's the best you got as your 5.
Yep.
And then you can substitute maybe 1 or something, but just to run them out there and then run back to the other end of the court and then take them out. I mean, my gosh.
They looked, Troy, they looked the other night for the first time, I think most of the year. they looked a little uncomfortable out there. They looked a little uncomfortable. I don't know. It was the fact that maybe they thought they were coming out or afraid to make a mistake. Or maybe it was just the fact that they play a lot of games. It's sort of like the pros.
Mm-hmm.
Is this game just like the Kentucky? Is it just a hiccup? I mean, is it just nothing to be real concerned about? It. You play so many games, you expect to have a game like this every once in a while. Anything to be concerned about?
I just disagree. You're number 2 in the country.
I understand.
You're number 2
I
in the
understand.
country, and you can't get excited to play.
But in
something's wrong.
But what I'm trying to say is they play a lot of games. They play 30-some games, and it's sort of like the pros, or it's sort of like baseball. You mentioned this in baseball, sitting here and say, well, how did the Baltimore Orioles beat the New York Yankees? They're in last place, and New York's in first place, and it's baseball. They play a lot of games. Is this what we're kind of seeing in college basketball now?
I think we'll see tonight or this afternoon. I think obviously Bruce Pearl comes back to town today, and it provides a big shot of energy for the city because regardless of what how his tenure ended here, people love him here, and so Bruce Pearl coming back to Knoxville is always kind of a big deal. And if Tennessee can't get up for trying to spoil a Bruce Pearl return, then I think you raise a little bit of a red flag because, especially if they're not, like you said, the last 2 games, they haven't been as dominant on defense as you expect them to be. If that continues today, you start to worry about, okay, are they fading a bit? Did they peak in January? And if that's the case, I think that would be the red flag.
Yeah. And, Marcus, that's kind of been what's happened to Rick Barnes' teams over the last several years since he's been here. They've played that tenacious defense, and then they get down toward the end of the year, and it's not quite as tenacious, but they've had pretty good scorers and shooters and inside game to alleviate that and up their offensive totals, beat people with their offenses. I don't know if this team, if the defense slacks off, whether they can beat teams with their offense. How do you feel about that?
I think we've seen they've got the recipe there. I think they have the inside game where they can go there if they need to. I think the outside shooting, I wouldn't want to live on it, but it's enough to keep you in some games. But I don't know if it's so much a fade as when you look at the opponents they've played in January in the league play. Let's not count Texas, but in league play, you don't have a lot of the top of the standings except for a good Kentucky team. What they've got coming up for February with Alabama, Auburn twice, Kentucky again, Missouri and Arkansas, I mean, you're talking about all competitive games from here on out. They don't have a cupcake left. There is no bottom of the standings team left. So is it a fade or is it the level of competition is taking a notch up?
Yeah, Tony, we'll talk about Auburn today. I look for Tennessee to play better. A lot of times when you lose a game, you come back and you play better. I'll be surprised if they don't play a good game today, but I'm not counting on Auburn coming in here with any letdown after losing to West Virginia because they lost also last Saturday. Of course, they had a win at home, but Bruce Pearl will have this team ready to play, and they will play hard. They're not going to lay down at any point in this game. They're going to play 40 minutes, and they're going to play it out. But
you got Tennessee's going to come in here hopefully with the chip on their shoulder, losing that game against Florida. But the factor with Bruce Pearl coming back to Auburn, and it just adds that other dimension to the game.
But the pressure is mounting now. If one of your goals, and it is a goal of all SEC teams, is to win the regular season championship, and we've talked about, Coach Trail, how hard it is, because this isn't like football. You don't have an East and West, and you're divided up, and it's a little bit, you got everybody in one league, and you got one champion. Everybody's there. If they don't get Auburn today, with the schedule that they've got left, they may be out of this league because they're going to be 3 games behind Alabama after today.
Sure.
You see, Tony?
Yeah.
I mean, the pressure's starting. Every game now is on the line. Yeah. And if they lose, I don't know whether you can win this. Maybe you can tie it with 3 losses, but I don't know whether you can win it or not.
And it's amazing we're having this conversation with the team that just got ranked number 2 in the country.
Yeah.
And now we're talking about, if they lose this game, now they're going to be 3 games behind Alabama, and so it changes all within a week.
Well, we've mentioned time and time again, it's not very far from the penthouse to the outhouse, and
doesn't take long.
And unfortunately, one game can put you down there pretty quick.
When everybody's at a wad anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like you're alone at number 2. We got 3 or 4 teams that's there.
Troy, other than the fact that we didn't shoot very well, the game was pretty well played the other night. Each team only had 10 turnovers. apiece. So that's a pretty well played basketball
Yeah.
game. And if you had more than 10 turnovers, it would have really looked like you'd have played bad, throwing the ball all over the place. But,
Sure.
it was a well played game. Auburn. Auburn's coming to town today. We got a few minutes. Let's talk about the Auburn Tigers. Bruce Pearl's group, a little bit different group, Coach Trail, than they had last year. Last year they had the size inside. This year's team is pretty much perimeter oriented.
Yep.
Outside shooters, three-point shooters, not bad on the interior, but not what they were last year. Tennessee's going to have to I look for Auburn to play an up-and-down game, and you can comment on this. They're going to look to put points up on the board. And 10-point lead for Tennessee may not be much, because 2 or 3 shots later it could be down to nothing. That's what Auburn can do to you. They proved that against West Virginia on the road last week. I think they were down 20 at one time and came back. But what's Tennessee going to do against Auburn? What are they going to do game plan wise to offset what Auburn does?
Well, the thing is, the way when you play defense, when you put emphasis so much on defense, the other end kind of drags, and and you get in a game where there's a lot of points being scored, and you're a defensive-minded team, and they put you don't have a comeback coach. Your offense is not what you're counting on. I mean, that would be like having you play and then put put
Tony?
the guard out there.
Why is he pointing at me?
I mean, Tony. I mean, that's the. I just then you get in a game where the other team is scoring as much as they do, and you're a defensive team. It kind of baffles you.
Well, I don't think that can happen today, Troy. I think Tennessee is going to have to play half-court defense like they've not played the last 2 games. They're going to have to up the half-court defense. They're going to have to force Auburn to play more of a setup, take transition away from them, and I think Tennessee's going to be a little bit more disciplined down on the offensive end, which could lead to a little what we call kind of an ugly game, maybe a chess game, back and forth, take the run away from them. How do you see it?
Yeah, I think it's a massive game for Zakai Ziegler and Santiago Vescovi on the perimeter defensively, and I would even add Jemai Meshack into that, especially considering the fact that, for lack of a better word, Tyreek Key has been absolutely useless the last 2 weeks. So I think you kind of make a switch there in terms of who you kind of lean on as that third guard, especially for a game like today, like you mentioned. Auburn's going to try and shoot it, and so I think those 3 could play a vitally important role today.
Yeah, Marcus, this game Alabama sits on top of the conference at 9-0. Tennessee 7-2, Auburn 7-2, Texas A&M 7-2, and there's Kentucky riding in there at 6-3. Kentucky's got Florida today. They're going to go 7-3 today, but that second place is getting crowded, Betty.
Well, it's stacking up because everybody's going to play each other next week.
Yeah.
Everyone will start seeing it. And you mentioned Kentucky's climbed up because, remember, they were 0-3 when they came into Knoxville. They've won 6 conference games in a row, starting with Tennessee.
Right.
I wouldn't want – it's a logjam we're used to for the start of February, and we'll start to see the separation come along.
Yeah. Tony, Auburn's got Wendell Green at 13.6 points, Johnny Broome at 13.4, Jalen Williams at 11.1. They shoot 44% from the floor and are just about 30% from three-point range, and they're averaging 72.4 points a game. My question is, if they get their average at 72.4 today, does Tennessee win this game?
I think it's just going to be a battle to the very end. They've got good consistency. It's a Bruce Pearl team. They're going to be well coached. I just think that if Tennessee allows them to reach those type of totals, then it gives Auburn an opportunity to get an upset win.
Okay, well, here's the big question, Coach Trail. It's the question every game: who steps up today, and who's the big player? It seems like we have a different player every game, every week. That's a big player. Nobody's consistently enough, or 1 or 2 players consistently enough that they're the big player. Kamwa was the big guy against Texas. I think he got 26. And, I mean, you can go right down. Phillips, one game, you know, you wonder where he's at, and he gets 18. And Plasvik, you know, one game, he gets 18. And who's the guy? Who's the guy?
I don't know. If I knew that, by George, I'd be calling Las Vegas right now, putting some dollars down.
Well, all you got to do is nudge Troy and let him give him.
Let me know.
You know, we talked about it. What do they do in the locker? Just draw straws and say, okay, you're the guy today. You're the guy. Troy, how is that? How is that you got a different guy that's very unsettled that you just don't know. You don't know what's going to happen up there.
Yeah, it's been my biggest concern with this team is that it just doesn't seem like in a 2-point ball game at the end of a game you don't have anybody who you truly 100% trust to give the ball to and say, hey, go get a bucket. And I think that team massively lacks that. I think the guy who is that right now is Zakai Ziegler, but I don't think he's a super reliable option in that. And I think the guy they want it to be is Julian Phillips, but he's a freshman, and so he kind of comes and goes at times. And that's just kind of the way it is.
Yeah. And Vescovi, it looks to me like, Marcus, and we got to get out of here, they're smothering him. You know, they've figured out that, you know, he's a standstill shooter like we've talked about since he came in here. And if he can't set and shoot that outside jump shot, he's going to do two things. He's either going to rush the shot, which he's not going to shoot the percentage, or he's going to put the ball on the floor, and then you are going to hope that he puts the ball on the floor because he's going nowhere with it because he can't shoot off of the move. He's going to probably pass the basketball. So they figured him out, and it doesn't appear to me that he's as effective right now as he's been in his career here.
He's definitely not as effective. I'm not sure his teams have figured him out because we've seen, especially against Texas, where he was able to do some things where he had the option to pass up the shot or take it. So they've got ways to get him open. I think he's just he's just not being as effective right now, and Tennessee's going to have to figure out how to deal with that because, you know, it's never too soon to look at next year. From no matter what you're doing, and you're going to have to figure out how to play without him.
Yep. Well, they'll jump it up today. I think it's starting time. Let me check. 2 o'clock.
Game.
ESPN at 2 o'clock. So we'll see what happens. We'll see if they come back. It'll be a great basketball game to watch, and a lot of you had Texas in here last week, and now you got Bruce Pearl in here this week. You can't have
two good weekends
two
back
Saturdays
to back. Yep.
better than that. Hey, it's time to turn the page, and next up is the local scoreboard with Blount County Sports Hall of Famer Donnie Moore and Mark It Down featuring Marcus Fitzsimmons. You're listening to the Goatee Sports Page, and now stay tuned for the best in local sports.
Make the big play with MVP Money Tools from Knoxville TBA Employees Credit Union. With KTBA ECUs, contactless debit card, direct deposits that hit up to 2 days early, credit cards that earn cashback reward points, and loans with competitive rates. Add all 4 MVP Money Tools to build your financial roster. It's everything you need to win financially.
Join us now.
Federally insured by NCUA. Equal Opportunity Housing Lender. Restrictions may apply. Call for details. 800-467-5427.
Since 1925, Anderson Lumber in Alcoa has proudly served and supported our local communities. But did you know Anderson Lumber is so much more than a lumber store? You can stop in anytime and see our incredible kitchen showroom. From floors to cabinets and everything in between, Anderson Lumber's experts can help you design your dream kitchen. And then our install team will make it a reality. For anything home, we welcome you to visit Anderson Lumber in Alcoa or shop over 67,000 items online at AndersonLumberCompany.com. Anderson Lumber, since 1925.
Aubrey's is known for real comfort, real food, real good. But remember, Aubrey's is also really into Blount County. Aubrey's Maryville has been a strong supporter of local schools and sports programs for more than 15 years. From baseball to football, dance teams, and marching bands, Aubrey's has helped schools and youth programs generate thousands of dollars. It's easy for us to do because it's the right thing to do. So the next time you're looking to choose a place to eat, we hope you'll choose Aubrey's. Real comfort, real food, real good. See what's on the menu at aubreysrestaurants.com.
Merlin's Music World in Maryville is owned and operated by Dylan Davis and has been a fixture in Maryville since 1987. Guitars, amplifiers, lessons, sound system, and video system installations are products available at Merlin's. Merlin's also offers a 24-track digital recording studio featuring audio engineer Rusty Chambers. Visit Merlin's at 1920 East Lamar Alexander Parkway or call 977-0093. We all want our loved ones to be safe. Denso in Maryville is at the forefront of creating technology for safer vehicles. Join the automotive industry with Denso in a fast, challenging, clean, and safe environment. They offer great benefits and competitive pay, as well as a convenient on-site healthcare facility, cafes, fitness center, and more. Start your future now. Entry-level production positions start at $16 an hour for second or third shift. Visit densocareers.com/Maryville to learn more and apply. The Blue Tick Tavern is home to the tastiest pizza in Blount County. Try our signature Broadway barbecue pizza, grilled chicken and red onions covered in mounds of mozzarella. Or sink your teeth into our one-of-a-kind chicken and bacon pizza, made with an olive oil base, grilled chicken, bacon, red onions, and covered in Brussels petals. The Blue Tick Tavern also has salads, sandwiches, and the area's largest beer selection. Regularly recognized as the best pizza in Blount County, it's the Blue Tick Tavern, located at 128 West Broadway in downtown Maryville.
Welcome back to the Blue Tick Tavern in downtown Maryville. This is Mike Edwards along with the rest of our broadcast crew. And now it's time for the local scoreboard, sponsored by Mandy B. Street Realty. And Donnie Moore, by golly, we had some huge games in Blount County last night. One of them took place over at Maryville High School with William Blount coming away. And they're going to be in here a little bit later, but they got 24 wins last night. I think that's the most in school history, and they're right in line. I think they got a game Tuesday night to decide the district championship regular season with Farragut. So they set themselves up real well over at Maryville. That was a huge one.
Indeed.
So I'm turning it all over to you.
Thank you, brother. All right, let's get started with the local scoreboard, sponsored as always by Mandy B. Street Realty. Last night's action saw Alcoa hosting Gatlinburg Pittman. As always, a district matchup that usually comes down to the wire, and Alcoa got a sweep last night. In the girls' game, the Lady T's were victorious, 64-53. Lady T's are rolling.
Yeah.
Doing really well.
Yeah, now they swept them, right? They beat Gatlinburg Pittman up there.
They sure did.
So they've beaten them twice, so now when they get into the district, they got to just close their eyes on that deal. And
that's right. Keep it rolling.
And go 0-0 now. Not worry about the third game.
That's right. And in boys action last night, the Tornadoes were 1 point better than Gatlinburg last night, 63-62.
And the boys are on a roll too.
They sure
we
are.
had them in here last week, and
that was a tough final call on that score, right?
Yeah. To my understanding, Gatlinburg Pittman hit a supposed 3 to tie the game at the buzzer, but the kid had his toe on the line.
Oh, man.
Ruled it a 2.
Goodness.
Alcoa wins by 1.
Did they go back to the replay monitor to look at that?
Didn't.
Well, that probably raised some cane over there by somebody. I don't know. But,
have smaller feet.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Or wear smaller shoes. Yeah. Anyway, Well, Greenback traveled to Midway last night, and they must have got lost because I couldn't find a score anywhere. I don't know whether they even came back.
Game got canceled.
Game got canceled, so they didn't travel to Midway last night.
Was that because did they get lost?
Money.
Is that why the game was canceled?
I don't think so. No, the game was at Greenback. It was scheduled to be at Greenback.
Scheduled to be at Greenback.
You can still get lost going to Greenback.
Anyway, you can for sure. So no action at Greenback last night. Heritage went to Farragut last night and wished they hadn't. Yeah. In girls action, 41-38 in favor of the Admiral Lady Ads. Yeah. Yeah, Rick's team took one on the chin last night. And boys action, 69-43 in favor of the Ads.
Yeah. Well, should we make a phone call or a text out to Heritage and see how practice is going this morning?
I'd say you're right. It's probably going on this morning.
Yeah, knowing Rick.
Yeah. So the big one last night over at Maryville, 50-40 in favor of Maryville, and
I'll just read the scores here for you because I know we're going to get to some action here a little bit later. 69-61, to return the favor in favor of the Govs.
Yeah.
last
And what a
night.
great year they've had. You know, I think,
Yeah.
24-4 right now. And by golly, I think the great thing about this basketball team is how well they've played in the clutch. You know, at the end of games, they've been able to close games. Because if you look at their score, you know, 69-61 last night, the ball game was fairly close.
It was.
And you can just go down their schedule and see that Troy pretty much all the way, where they've closed out really well.
Sure
that
have.
basketball team
What separates good teams from great
Yeah,
teams.
that's what they say.
You're right.
Yeah.
Yep. Seymour traveled to Northview Academy last night, and Seymour girls lost one 42-39. Was that a three-pointer as well?
I have no idea
you
about
know
that
what?
one.
Don't know about that one, but that's a revenge game right there.
It is. You're right. And in boys action, 64-46 in favor of Northview, Troy.
You know, on that three-point shot at Alcoa last night, that's on my mind.
Go ahead.
I
Go ahead,
wasn't- I
Mike.
wasn't there, but if I was coaching Gatlinburg Pittman, I would be out there asking that official, where's the shoe mark? Huh? Well, I don't see a shoe mark on that three-point line.
I would have been asking for some photographic evidence.
I don't
wouldn't
know.
you?
I don't know. But,
That'll get you a technical foul.
Yes, it will.
We've
You're
seen
right.
this
Every
week.
time.
Yeah. Well-
Every time. Oh, boy. Well, Maryville Christian School hosted Sweetwater last night. Mike, you were interested in that one. You know a guy that coaches Sweetwater, don't you? Yeah.
Jeremy Henderson played for me.
Former Gov, that's right.
Yeah, he's the athletic director down there. and
Yep, AD.
doing a good job.
Yeah, sure is. In girls game, Maryville Christian won that one 35-28. But Sweetwater won the boys contest 45-30 over Maryville Christian. So, Jeremy, congratulations to Jeremy Henderson.
Yeah, he's doing a good job down there.
Yeah.
Proud of him.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
All right, that'll do it for the local scoreboard. National NIL signings this week. We had several. Goodness, didn't we ever?
Signing day does.
Signing
make a
day
long
does
list.
bring them out, doesn't it? Yeah, it sure does. From Alcoa High School, the football program unloaded several signings this week. Aaron Davis went to the University of Cumberland, signed with them. Jordan Harris signed with Tennessee Tech. Riley Long signed with Georgetown College. And Zach Lunsford signed with where, Tony? Where's Tony?
He's gone back to
gone.
Mississippi.
He's gone back to Mississippi, I guess. But Zach Lunsford, the quarterback over at Alcoa, signed with Carson Newman. So congratulations to those fine athletes over at Alcoa
And we didn't
High
talk to
School.
Tony this morning about the recruiting, but Carson Newman's had a fine recruiting
They
year in
sure
football.
have.
Uh-huh.
They sure have.
They're going to build hopefully on that. They won 6 games last year. We'll look for them to build on that this year.
Indeed. Over at Maryville High School, they had several signings as well. Tez Dozier, their fine sprinter over there, signed with Belmont University. Landon Dockery signed with Tusculum University, and Isaiah French signed with Lee University to play baseball next year. Riley Maples signed with Maryville College to play softball next year. Congratulations to her. Lance Hatcher signed with King University to further his education and athletic career for cross country next year. And Adam Jones signed with LaGrange College to further his career in lacrosse.
And you know, Donnie, you know, us here on the sport page, you know, we're real proud of what all these athletes do.
We
I mean,
sure
we're
are.
really blessed here in Blount County. You think of what Alcoa girls have done in basketball down there. We're going to have them on, and what the boys have done, and what Alcoa's done in football and all their sports over there, and then what William Blunt's doing in basketball this year, and Heritage girls. You know, I mean, you've got ranked teams. We've got
Precisely.
Heritage
ranked teams.
girls.
Yeah,
We've
it just
got
makes
three-
us
we got three
swell up
ranked
and wanna
right
bust
here, right
around
here,
here,
right
you
here
know?
in Blount County. I mean,
Yeah,
we're
exactly.
blessed with that, and it's a real tribute to all the athletes in this county that put forth their time and effort. They do a great job, and also the coaches.
Exactly, and we are so proud of our local athletes, and that's why we take the time to recognize them here on this show. As
It's very unique.
it is
Very
it is.
unique to
And
have.
we want to give them
have
their
this
due.
type of talent and these types of teams in one county.
Exactly. And now we want to take the time as well to recognize some of our local athletes, and now to our veteran sports writer Marcus Fitzsimmons for his segment, Mark It Down, after we tell you that you're listening to WKCE 105.1 FM and 1180 AM Mid-Century Radio. Marcus, take it away.
Well, thanks, Donnie. Y'all try to get all soapy and sappy to start this thing. We're not doing that.
And then we turn it over to you.
I mean, that's a horrible transition. We need to work on that. We do have the Lady Tornadoes in the house with us this morning, and they actually look alive and awake this morning, which is, considering how hard they had to play last night, that's a testament to overcoming a teenager. Have an assistant coach with us. We have Mac Brown, and we have Ainsley Pfeiffer with us. Coach, let me start with you.
Bremer.
64.
Bremer.
Troy, would you like to do the
Sorry,
introduction
Mac.
since you only gave me a first name?
Mac Bremer.
Well, Troy, you gave me Mac, Ainsley, and Taylor is what you wrote down for me here.
Yep, that's my fault.
Okay.
I'll own that one.
So, 64-53 win. Big one because it clinches the number 1 seed in the regular season. But this was a interesting game. It always is when you all play GP. How big was this for you all? How much was the team wanting this one?
Well, it's big to beat that team because you got, I guess, 2 Final Four teams from last year going head-to-head. And winning up at their place was awesome, and we kind of knew they'd be out for revenge last night. And we know what we're getting with them. They're going to play hard. They're going to be well coached, really physical, really tough defensively. So it's good for us to go through some adversity, have to buckle down and get stops, and like Troy was mentioning earlier, kind of be clutch late, handle the ball, not turn it over to finish a big game like that in front of a nice crowd too, which is good for our girls.
And loud crowd, we'll say that too.
Yeah,
one of the things, just looking at a lot of foul shots in this game. This was not going to be a quick and long periods of moving up and down. There was a lot of stops for fouls.
Not a lot of flow, yeah.
44 fouls, I think, by the count on the book. Yeah. Hard to get a rhythm going.
Yeah, well, that's another thing. It's not stuff we can really control, so it's good for us to have to fight through that in, I guess early February before stuff gets really real here in a couple weeks, just fighting through adversity. And, we had, I think, 3 or 4 starters we were trying to talk about earlier that had to play with 4 fouls for about a whole quarter and find a way to win, which was big for us.
That's got to be huge for the coaching staff as well when you can see the players be able to
be
survive
smart like that, yeah.
Play smart, and also
and still get stops.
When you can win an ugly game, and it's not necessarily ugly because of the way you're playing, but because of the way the stoppages are going.
Sure. Yeah.
Should we go ahead and talk about Mac?
Let's talk about Mac.
A lot of points on the books. Somebody to go to.
Yeah. Well, and also, both ends she played great last night. We had, Carly got 3 fouls in the first half. So, we were like, Mac, do you want to guard their point guard who's had a great year so far, freshman girl, really good athlete. And Mac was just kind of like, sure. Did a great job on her, kind of played her really smart, how we needed her to, and stepped in when we needed her.
Mac, Alcoa turns a 16-0 run between the end of the second, start of the third, kind of pull away from this one a little bit. Didn't hold up all the way, but to kind of pull away and get some separation. You had 5 to end the second quarter, got 6 in the run to start the third. What happened during that halftime transition? What happened during that run?
During halftime, we really talked about we have the lead, let's keep it a lead. We don't want to lose it because, in tough games, if you do have a 20-point lead, Bauman said, let's turn it to 30, not cut it down to 7, I think is what we got closest to. We really just wanted to push the ball and get ahead as much as we could.
Carla finished with 21, but Coach said everybody had some foul issues, had to do some different arrangements as far as the lineups went. How did that impact you all last night? Was it a buckle-down type situation for you mentally as to we just have to go out and work and play with the officials and what they're calling?
Yeah, because that's something we can't control. We can't control what the refs are going to call. We can't control what they're going to do on offense, whatever. You can't control any of that, so you just got to play with what you can.
And and a couple of bench girls, Bella Darty came in, hit some big shots, defended. Kara Pitts came in, hit a couple more big shots, and defended really well. And going back to, I talked about Mac defensively, guarding the point guard. We also kind of realized she's tough. She's a problem because if you have a post player guarding Mac, she can take you outside and kind of expose you and get by you. If you've got a smaller girl on Mac, she's got the moves to go down low. So talk about halftime adjustments. I think our girls told us coming out of the half, let's run this play, that we don't usually run for Mac because she has somebody smaller on her, and we came out. You talked about making a run at the beginning of the half. We came out and ran that. She catches it, scores in the post. So yeah.
Well, Coach, I'll bring Ainsley and Mac in on this. GP uses a lot of pressure. You had to use a lot of ball handling last night. Everybody got involved, and that's not something you can see from every team where you can see your bigs involved with the ball handling as well. How did that work, and was that by design?
Yeah, well, yeah. So I talked after the game to our coaches, how awesome it is that our three, I guess, post players, we could include Mac as either one, but Ainsley and Amelia Pfeiffer both, sometimes you have a post, you get a little nervous when she catches the ball and you're being pressed by another team. But Amelia and Ainsley, I've got no worries when either of those two catches the ball at half court, which is a huge advantage for teams or for us when we're playing teams that are trying to pressure us like last night. Because GP, that's what they do. When they start making runs on teams, it's because they've turned teams over and they're just shooting layups over and over and over again. So if we have Ainsley or Amelia in the middle or back a little bit and they have to make a play and handle the ball, we're not worried.
Ainsley, how was the pressure last night, and how did you feel the team handled it?
I think we handled it really well, considering all things. But even though we were in foul trouble, they were in foul trouble too. So us taking Carly out for when she got a lot of fouls, we still had people in that could handle the ball. And so it wasn't a stressor that we were going to get the ball off the court for me, because I knew we are completely capable of doing it and that we have the ability to with the people that we had on the court at the time.
Okay, and GP makes that run in the fourth quarter. They cut it lead in half, get down to about a 3-possession game, and did it with a couple turnovers and some big threes, and you all had to perform at the line, and the team did real well. Was there a pressure situation? It's a pressure situation, but how do you think you all responded when they put you, basically, we're going to foul you and put you on the line to win this?
I think we responded incredibly well. I know Coach Bauman takes me out in those situations because I'm a better defender in those crunch times, and we have others that are better free throw shooters, and it worked last night. Bella got in. Did she
made a big free throw?
She
Yeah,
made big free throws last night. When she came in, we were going offense, defense, and it was just in those situations we all know that we have to make these shots. And last night I think everyone did an extremely good job of stepping up to the line and knocking him down.
So, Mac, talk a little about the end of this one, because it was basically hit your free throws at the end. Does that get frustrating when it's not just ending out the last minute or two, but where you're basically going multiple possessions of having to shoot free throws? Does that get a little wearing when you're on the receiving end of that?
Personally, I think it's a little bit boring. I like to play defense. I like to go score. But free throws are a big thing, and I think we did really good just converting on the line when we can. So.
Well, I know the coaching staff was looking at standings and was concerned about this, but I'm going to guess that some of this was you all just being glad to beat GP.
Yeah.
How big was that for the team, as for the players, to get that win and to get the sweep on GP?
Well, it's a big thing because, last year I think we beat GP one time out of 4.
We beat them one time at home early in the season, and that was just Carly, Macy, Kara,
Bella.
Eden Davis, and Bella and Trinity. And so it was impressive that we pulled off that win, but then when we came back and we lost to them with our whole group, minus Mac, of course, it was kind of like we really should have beat them when we played them in the postseason. And so this year it was kind of like we need to come out and show this team that they can't just walk all over us. And so these past couple games we've done that, and we've done it as a team, which is extremely impressive.
Coach, I'm going to say thanks again for y'all getting up and coming in this morning.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Because next week's busy.
3 games.
You got last night, but I'm looking at the schedule, and Monday at Oak Ridge, Tuesday Cumberland Gap, and then Friday the rivalry with Maryville. None of those are going to affect district standings, but that's 3 games, and 2 of those are big games, bigger schools. What is this the pre-district tournament prep kind of get some things worked out against some good opponents?
Well, honestly, that's our whole schedule, and I'll give it to Coach Bauman. He does not schedule light ever. We're scheduling to win games in March or late February, early March. You know, you look at our schedule, I think we've played every sub-state team from around here. We've played McMinn, we played Upperman, Elizabethton twice, Greenville, Catholic,
McMinn Central,
Oak Ridge twice, McMinn Central. Who am I missing? Sevier County twice. So Bearden twice. I think that's our last game before tourney play. So we schedule these games with late February, early March in mind, so we can be put in situations like we were put in last night and just kind of have winning habits late in games against really good teams.
And then when you schedule that way, usually you're thinking, okay, well, we'll pick up a loss or two here or there doing this.
Mm-hmm.
You're 24-2.
We are.
You know, that's going to get some attention, and the reverse side of that is when you win those, that target on your back keeps getting a little bit bigger.
Yeah, which makes teams give us their best shot, which in turn is going to make us better.
So what is the when you get done with this game and you walk out of the gym last night, what's Coach Bauman doing? How is he reacting to this one?
He's going home to walk his dog and hang out with his kids. us younger coaches stayed at the boys' game and got hyped for that one, but I think that was his plan last night.
Typical.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, Ainsley, for the team, what do y'all try to do these last 4 games before the district tournament? The district games are over. You've got to finish these out, finish the season. What are you all doing in this lull between now and the postseason?
I think now it's just about staying healthy and continuing to defend well against these teams that have been playing bigger games. Like Oak Ridge, it will be a big game on Monday, and we just have to all buy in before it gets to tournament time and continue to keep our team chemistry great as it always has been.
You know, we ask in the preseason, we're talking about what are your goals for the season? What's the team want to do? Well, now we're at the start of the real season. We're at the start of the postseason. Y'all got big goals. Coach talked about being tested. Do y'all feel like you've been tested? Is this team improved from where you started the year?
100%. Over Christmas, we faced a lot of adversity in a really short amount of time. We went to Orlando and played in a tournament, and then we got back, went through Christmas, and then played at the Andrew Johnson Classic in Greenville. And we
Four
played
straight days. 4 straight days, yeah.
4 straight days. We played big teams. We played Catholic, Upperman, who else? Elizabethton. We played some big games, and we had some people bumped and bruised. And I think that was just a testament to how well, even though we have some people that are out. My sister Amelia got a concussion in that spurt, and she missed like the end of the Upperman game or something. And we all bought in to win that game, and I think that just shows that we can do hard things in hard times and that we handle hard extremely well, and we just need to keep doing that as we progress through postseason.
Coach, and you know this, and the players probably know it, but may not realize we actually talk about it, but the Andrew Johnson Classic, that format, 4 straight days, that's as close to a replication of the state tournament as you can get.
Deja vu, yeah. Yeah,
it pretty much is. I mean, and teams go up there for that reason because you're going to play good teams. You're going to play them back-to-back days. There's no recovery time, and you're going to have a pretty good environment usually at Greenville.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And your only scouting is you got to stay late and watch the team that you may play tomorrow, which is just like what we do in Murfreesboro when we make it. So we've got 2 championships this year technically already, so we're trying to be in those positions where we're just doing things champions do, building those habits in those tourney type situations.
So big game wise, we talked about the 4 you got to finish. Which ones are at home? Can you tell us which ones people need to come out and get this week?
Is it just Cumberland Gap?
Tuesday and Friday.
And
Tuesday
Friday.
Friday.
Oh yeah, senior night Friday.
Senior night.
The senior night we don't want to get here. Yeah.
So if you want to see the Lady T's at home, you come out Tuesday and Friday.
Tuesday and Friday, especially Friday.
And they could use you possibly Friday for the Maryville game.
Yeah, always.
And look, Donnie's telling me I can't go anymore, so we'll close out with that. But thank you all for coming in. And congratulations on the win and the #1 seed.
Thank you.
Mike, we'll go ahead and turn the page.
Thanks, Marcus. We'll take a timeout here. And when we return, Daily Times sports editor Troy Provo Heron announces the Anderson Lumber Company Player of the Week. You're listening to the Goatee Sports Page, Blount County Sports Voice, and now stay tuned for the best in local sports.
The Roger L. Newman Company began in 1984 with a vision of providing Blount County with excellent heating and cooling service. Mr. Newman also wanted a real business. No gimmicks and no high-pressure sales. They just fix it or replace it. They want to stay within your budget and make you comfortable. Their motto still stands true today. Call us first, we'll be there. Call Roger L. Newman Company at 982-5446 or visit online at rogerlnewman.com. Cooler temperatures are approaching. Upgrade your furnace now for as little as $50 a month.
Your newspaper? That's right. The Daily Times is your newspaper, tailored to where you live, emphasizing the things that affect you and keeping track of the people and players in our community. The award-winning Daily Times can be delivered each morning right to your door or inbox with the latest in local news and sports. For a 30-day free trial offer, call 981-1100 and begin enjoying your life, your times, every day with the Daily Times.
Dunkin' has what you need to conquer the day. So if you want to go from, I don't got this, to, I got this, well, then get this. A bold, smooth espresso drink from Dunkin'. Like a layered velvety caramel macchiato, a rich chocolatey mocha latte, or a creamy non-dairy oat milk latte. Because this day isn't going to conquer itself. No, you're going to do that. Take a sip of You Got This with Dunkin' Espresso drinks. Order ahead on the app plus earn rewards. America runs on Dunkin'. Price and participation may vary.
For over 50 years and 3 generations, the people of Blount County have trusted Stevenson Tire with their vehicles and their families. Our mission has always been simple: to provide quality products at reasonable prices with exceptional customer service. Featuring tire products from Michelin, BF Goodrich, Uniroyal, Bridgestone, Firestone, and Yokohama, Stevenson Tire also offers alignment and brake services at affordable prices. Stevenson Tire Company, 2411 East Broadway Avenue in Maryville. Call 983-1621 or online at stevensonTire.net. Waters Equipment is your East Tennessee New Holland agriculture and construction dealer. Waters Equipment has been serving Blount County for 48 years and has 2 locations in Maryville for sales and service for New Holland equipment. Offering shop and field service for trucks and equipment of all brands, Waters offers equipment rentals for New Holland skid steer, Mini X, and tractors. Call 238-9000 for your rental needs. That's 238-9000. Waters Equipment New Holland. Excellence in service.
Since 1925, Anderson Lumber in Alcoa has proudly served and supported our local communities. But did you know Anderson Lumber is so much more than a lumber store? You can stop in anytime and see our incredible kitchen showroom. From floors to cabinets and everything in between, Anderson Lumber's experts can help you design your dream kitchen. And then our install team will make it a reality. For anything home, we welcome you to visit Anderson Lumber in Alcoa or shop over 67,000 items online at AndersonLumberCompany.com. Anderson Lumber, since 1925.
Welcome back to the Blue Tick Tavern in downtown Maryville. This is Mike Edwards, and it's time for the Anderson Lumber Company Player of the Week, featuring Daily Times sports editor Troy Provo-Heron. Troy, first of all, before you get started there, welcome back.
Thank you.
To the Goatee Sports Page. Troy's been busy with schoolwork.
Yeah.
How's that going?
It's going good, you know. I'm just trying to keep my head above water, but it's been good.
Well, I think some of it's rubbing off with Coach Trail. I noticed this morning he's a lot smarter than he's been.
That's good. That's all I ever try to do is make the show better. That's my whole role, is to try and make it as good as possible.
Hey,
so.
you got the toast of Blount County in here this morning, huh? They got the big win last night. They got a little unfinished business to do.
Yeah.
They got next Tuesday to go, but what a year! I'm going to turn it over to you and for William Blount Governors, huh?
Yeah, an incredible team, and we're joined by their head coach, Kevin Windle, Caden Windle, Grady Robertson, and Braden Mayfield. And before I start anything, I want to give everybody who was in that gymnasium a round of applause yesterday, because as good an environment of a high school basketball game as I've been to in a long time, I got there 30 minutes before the tip-off of the girls' game, and it was hard to find a seat. So a great job by the community packing that house last night and making it a really fun one. But, Coach, we talked about this last night. Just the biggest difference to you in terms of last night and when you first played Maryville and lost that game, just the determination, the focus, and kind of how those guys kind of approached the game. Just what was the message to the guys heading into last night?
Yeah, the first time we played, I thought it was more hype. It became too many distractions. So what we tried to do was just focus on the task at hand, do our job, make it more of a business-like action, and you know, determination and focus was our whole talk pregame about it. So not the hype, just determination.
And you know, we all are talking about 14 to 18-year-old kids, and in that week that you lost to Maryville, you had been ranked #1. You had just beat Farragut a couple days ago. Just how much of a moment do you think that was for them, and how big of a wake-up call do you think it was to kind of get them to refocus?
Well, it's great to be #1 and great to beat Farragut at Farragut and all those things, but then we drop one at home that we felt like we should win, and so I think, like I said, the distractions of it all. So to refocus was good, and then, these guys had a lot of vengeance on mine. They wanted to make sure that they made a statement saying that we are the better team, we're going to prove it. So,
Caden, just as guys in that locker room, how much did that first loss hurt, and how motivated were y'all to kind of bounce back last night against Maryville?
Definitely the first one, we were on a little bit of a hot streak, playing good, and then just to lose a key district game like that for the standings, that really hurt. But we knew that we had to bounce back. We couldn't still be down about that loss, and we had to come back even better.
Grady, really throughout that first half, y'all led for most of it, and then I think Matthew Clemmer makes a layup right as the second half starts to cut it to 5, and y'all answer with a 7-0, 9-0 run there that kind of put y'all up double digits, and y'all kind of sustained that through most of the second half. Just kind of from your perspective, what went well during that run to start the second half?
I think it's our energy. We came out at the beginning of the game, and we had an energy and mindset that we were going to come in there and dominate and show we were the better team. I think our defensive rebounding really pushed us forward to have those big runs and stretches of leads. And I think the domination of the defensive rebounding really put us up in having a big lead.
Part of that energy also had to come from the shot the guy to your right hit right before halftime, Braden Mayfield, with the 50-footer to beat the buzzer. Braden, when you put it up, did it feel good? And I've got to admit, I think that's the first time I've ever seen that in a high school basketball game.
This is going to sound like cocky, but as soon as I shot it, it kind of felt like a floater, like a 5-foot floater. And I was like, as soon as it left my hand, I was like, that's kind of chance. As it got closer, I thought it was off because it was a little to the right. It felt a little right, and then it went in.
Did you get any free gas with that shot, or maybe some Chick-fil-A sandwiches or something? Well, what's Cup doing down there?
I know, right?
I'd hit him up Monday for that.
Yeah.
Huh? Yeah, for
we'll have
sure.
to make a deal for that.
Absolutely. Huh?
Kevin, just how big of a shot is that? I mean, obviously it's a 1 in 100 type of thing, but for it to go in that rivalry game to kind of get your student section going and all that, just how big of a moment was that?
Oh, it was a great moment, and the big thing was, they had cut it to 4, so they had some momentum, and then all of a sudden that big shot just swings the momentum, and everybody knows basketball is a game of runs. Whoever has the momentum has the advantage. So it was a great moment and fun for the fans, and obviously a boost of energy for our team.
Caden, you were locked in a war with Matthew Clemmer that entire first half. Kind of seemed to figure some things out there in that second half. Just kind of what changed for you to kind of finish with 18?
Yes, me and Matt, we've been battling, the past 2 games, and really early we both come out with a lot of energy. I'm trying to attack, get foul trouble, this and that, but I stuck with it. I wasn't going to just start being passive or shoot threes, so I just kept taking it inside, got some fouls, and made my free throws.
Something we just talked about with the Alcoa girls is kind of being able to execute and being able to make some shots in some clutch moments. And we talk about Braden's half quarter, but Grady, a big 3 right at the end of the third quarter to go up 15, I think, and kind of obviously made that deficit a lot bigger for them to overcome. Just kind of take me through that possession and how big you thought that shot was.
Well, I had the ball, and, it was kind of just felt natural. The time was running down. I knew I had to take the shot, and it just felt like a regular shot in the backyard, just finding my shot in rhythm and just hitting it. So
Braden, Caden has 18, Grady has 17, you have 14. Just how good is this offense when y'all are kind of getting a bunch of guys involved and able to move the basketball around?
Yeah, when these two are going to get their points because they're just so talented in the way they are. It's when the other guys can step up and have, key contributing nights like they have been, Bryson, Reese, me, Riley, Luke. We've all been playing really great lately, and you never know who's going to step up on any given night. That's what makes us tough to guard.
What I love about this team is half of our shots are off assists. That's substantial. A lot of times that, and that's for the season. That's not just one game. That's for the season.
Yeah.
We're averaging half of our makes off of assists. So when that happens, we're hard to guard.
Kevin, I want to talk about defense, and specifically against Maryville interior defense, because Alex Akard can be a load down there, but y'all did a really good job of limiting him throughout that game. Just kind of what was the game plan to try and take him out of it and not let him beat you?
Well, the first game, first idea was to try to push him out as far away from the bucket as we could to make it harder for him to score when he did use his moves. And then we were very prepared on what type of move he likes to do, try to take away his advantage of that and force him to do what we wanted, and he made a couple shots and made some buckets. I mean, he's a good player. He's a handful down there. So, but for us to limit him, if we could, for us to limit him as much as we did and still be able to cover their shooters was a great defensive effort on our team.
And he mentions those shooters, and they're specifically Nick Johnson and Robbie Eldridge. Those are two dudes that if they see one go in, they might not miss the rest of the day.
Right.
Just how important was it for y'all to kind of be locked in out there on the perimeter and not let that happen?
Definitely. Nick and Robbie both. I mean, they get hot very fast. Always got to have a hand up on them. So, we're able to help in good, but you got to get out there and recover fast. Especially Nick. He played a really good game last time at our place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wanted to ask you, obviously, the number one a couple weeks ago, still in the top 5. Just what has this season been like with all the kind of the fanfare of it all, being that ranked that high, and really the support that the community has given y'all throughout it all?
No, it's been great. I feel like our team, we don't really look at it and look at being ranked that much. We just go in and try to get the job done every night. We don't worry if we lose or go down in the rankings. It's what Coach says to us, it's better to lose now than lose later in the season. We have one goal and one main thing to achieve by the end of the season in mind, and that's what we're really pushing for and really trying to achieve.
Braden, y'all knew coming into the year y'all would have a good team, but has it at all surprised you at all, or just how good y'all have been in terms of the rankings and anything like that, or did y'all kind of maybe expect this coming into the season?
I definitely think we expect it to be this good. Some of the stuff is when it happens, it's cool. You look at it. But you just have to look at it and be like, there's more to do. Nobody remembers who's ranked 1 in the second Associated Press. That don't matter. It's who's number 1 at the end. So, that's the goal. Like Grady said, we have one goal in mind.
We're at a point now where y'all have played 26 games. You've only lost 2 of them. Just how proud of you are this group for kind of, except for maybe that Maryville game that you maybe felt got away, but maintaining that focus throughout such a long stretch and kind of not getting off balance or anything like that in terms of how they approach every game?
Well, again, it goes back to limiting distractions. And then second, focus on the job at hand. Each game is its own entity. Let's focus on this game. We have a saying on our team, win or lose, you focus on this game up until 12 o'clock of that night. After that, we wash it off in the shower, and we go to the next one, and we start preparing and doing what we can to get our minds and bodies ready for the next game. And as long as you take it one game at a time, and I know that's a cliche, but that's really what we're trying to focus on is each step, each game, and just each opportunity that we have to prove who we are.
You mentioned the next one. The next one's a big one, a chance to win the regular season district championship against Farragut on Tuesday. Just kind of, what do you remember about playing Farragut the first time, and what would it mean to y'all to win the regular season championship?
Well, obviously it's a great feat to win the regular season championship. That's going to be an awesome opportunity that we have. Farragut at home. At their place, was a war. It was a battle. They're very athletic. They got a great inside presence with Dallas Carball. It was an emotional game, so I expect the same here. 2 very talented teams going head to head, and we match up pretty well with them. I don't know. we can always say, district title, regular season, but when it comes down to it, and these guys will let you know, it's about the tournament. Basketball is a tournament sport, and even though we're taking it one game at a time, this is just another step to our eventual goal at the end of the season.
Troy, I want to mention how hard it is in this district.
It's ridiculous.
For years, I coached at Farragut and I coached at William Blount. And I tell you what, this district has been strong for a long time. Bearden used to dominate it. When I was coaching at Farragut, you had to go through Bearden. They were absolutely unbelievable. And we got a lot of seconds over at Farragut against Bearden. But it was from top to bottom, you just could not relax on any night. And, high school basketball is not unlike college basketball. It's about winning championships. And here they got a chance to win a district championship for the first time in a long time. And they've got to go through another program that's done well in this league, traditionally in Farragut. And how gratifying that would be to beat them on Tuesday night and win a district championship. In this league, that's really saying something, I'll tell you.
Yeah, and Caden, I wanted to get y'all out of here with something along those lines. And obviously, the district championship is great, and y'all will celebrate Tuesday should you win against Farragut. But in this district, when you get to that tournament, really it kind of feels like 1 through 5 can beat anybody on any given day. How do y'all make sure that a regular season championship doesn't kind of lead to complacency come 2 weeks from now?
Definitely. Just because we're the 1 seed doesn't mean we're guaranteed to, get the 1 seed going into region or 2 seed. It looks like I think it'll be either Bearden or Maryville possibly for a 5 and 4.
Yeah.
So no matter who that is, I know that's going to be a tough game no matter what.
Well, I want to congratulate y'all on a big win last night, on all the success y'all have had this season, and hopefully some good luck for some more success going forward. I want to thank y'all for coming in this morning.
Thank you for having us.
And Coach, I want to say that, with the win last night, it automatically guarantees you going to the regional tournament.
Yes.
And that does take a little bit of pressure off your basketball team, even though you're playing for seeding.
Yes.
You're not playing to get to the region tournament.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's a lot of pressure off the shoulders.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Hey, it's time for a break, and when we return, it's Sports Headlines with Donnie Moore and the Tennessee Smoky Spotlight. You're listening to the Goatee Sports page, and now stay tuned for the best in local sports.
Aubrey's is known for real comfort, real food, real good. But remember, Aubrey's is also really into Blount County. Aubrey's Maryville has been a strong supporter of local schools and sports programs for more than 15 years. From baseball to football, dance teams, and marching bands, Aubrey's has helped schools and youth programs generate thousands of dollars. It's easy for us to do because it's the right thing to do. So the next time you're looking to choose a place to eat, we hope you'll choose Aubrey's. Real comfort, real food, real good. See what's on the menu at aubreysrestaurants.com.
We all want our loved ones to be safe. Denso in Maryville is at the forefront of creating technology for safer vehicles. Join the automotive industry with Denso in a fast, challenging, clean, and safe environment. They offer great benefits and competitive pay, as well as a convenient on-site healthcare facility, cafes, fitness center, and more. Start your future now. Entry-level production positions start at $16 an hour for second or third shift. Visit densocareers.com/Maryville to learn more and apply. Merlin's Music World in Maryville is owned and operated by Dylan Davis and has been a fixture in Maryville since 1987. Guitars, amplifiers, lessons, sound system, and video system installations are products available at Merlin's. Merlin's also offers a 24-track digital recording studio featuring audio engineer Rusty Chambers. Visit Merlin's at 1920 East Lamar Alexander Parkway or call 977-0093.
Make the big play with MVP Money Tools from Knoxville TBA Employees Credit Union. With KTVA ECUs, contactless debit card, direct deposits that hit up to 2 days early, credit cards that earn cashback reward points, and loans with competitive rates. Add all 4 MVP Money Tools to build your financial roster. It's everything you need to win financially.
Join us now.
Federally insured by NCUA. Equal Opportunity Housing Lender. Restrictions may apply. Call for details. 800-467-5427.
The Blue Tick Tavern is home to the tastiest pizza in Blount County. Try our signature Broadway barbecue pizza, grilled chicken and red onions covered in mounds of mozzarella. Or sink your teeth into our one-of-a-kind chicken and bacon pizza. Made with an olive oil base, grilled chicken, bacon, red onions, and covered in Brussels petals. The Blue Tick Tavern also has salads, sandwiches, and the area's largest beer selection. Regularly recognized as the best pizza in Blount County, it's the Blue Tick Tavern, located at 128 West Broadway in downtown Maryville. Waters Equipment is your East Tennessee New Holland agriculture and construction dealer. Waters Equipment has been serving Blount County for 48 years and has 2 locations in Maryville for sales and service for New Holland equipment. Offering shop and field service for trucks and equipment of all brands, Waters offers equipment rentals for New Holland skid steer, Mini X, and tractors. Call 238-9000 for your rental needs. That's 238-9000. Waters Equipment New Holland. Excellence in service. For over 50.
It's been a while since he's
Welcome back to the Blue Tick Tavern in downtown Maryville. This is the Greenfield Gunner, Mike Edwards, and it's time for the sports headlines. And Donnie Moore, you got a few, don't you?
You know, it just so happens that I do.
Pull them out of your back pocket.
Now that you mention it, I do.
Yeah.
Well, you know.
Had 2 weeks to get them.
That's a big enough book you got
It ought to
there.
be pretty good.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Coach
Ray.
Coach Trail had you passing out shirts this morning, last week, didn't you, Coach? Huh?
Yeah.
He better get back or he'll be passing out shirts.
Thank you, Ray. When I get the big head, it's always a humbling experience.
That's
to have
right.
you
You
around.
know Ray and knock it down.
That's the last time he'll be sick.
That's something we do exceptionally well on this show is make sure to keep everybody humble.
Precisely. And I appreciate that, guys.
Oh, man.
Well, Tampa Bay quarterback Tom Brady re-retired this week, exactly 1 year to the day from when he did so last year.
No.
With just a brief statement on social media on Wednesday, Brady said he is retiring for good, and that's a quote, after 20 seasons with New England Patriots and 3 with the Buccaneers. Adios, Tom Brady.
Probably.
Yeah,
Probably.
we think.
To be continued.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, the Denver Broncos hired a new head coach this week after a long and exhausting process. Denver fired Nathaniel Hackett on December 26th, just 15 games into his first season with the team. And the team's leadership, led by owner and CEO Greg Penner, interviewed 8 candidates for the job in the last 6 weeks. When the smoke cleared and the deal was done, the Broncos got their next head coach from the New Orleans Saints. Yes, Sean Payton is back in the NFL. Payton, who is actually still under contract to New Orleans, will have to be traded to Denver for a 2023 first-round pick and a 2024 second-round pick for Payton's services, as well as a future third-round pick.
How does that get tied into?
He's still under contract.
He's still under contract in New Orleans.
The way New Orleans.
Although he was dismissed.
I remember John Gruden
He
got
was
traded.
dismissed, not fired.
I don't understand what.
He's still under contract, so they have to trade him.
Well, that'd be a great feeling to go into a
But
team
he's-
that you're not
again,
going
he's
to
a
have get any
coach.
draft picks.
He is a coach, but he has to be traded.
I don't understand how.
That's NFL, Tony. That's something,
Because
something we don't understand.
Yeah. But I just got to wonder, what is Denver thinking? I mean, I'm not saying Sean Payton's not a good coach, but you just bet the franchise on a freewheeling, entourage-wielding quarterback who draws it up in the dirt, and you're going to bring in a disciplinarian who's all about timing on offense?
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm thinking, too.
And you're losing draft picks.
Yeah, and you're losing
I mean,
draft
that's
picks.
what. That's
on
why
top
I
of what you gave up last year
Yeah,
to get.
I just don't understand.
Plus, they're still going to have to settle a contract with Payton eventually.
Yeah, I just
So,
don't
man,
understand.
I
don't understand that.
Well, they
I
might
mean-
be in a little bit better shape than the Colts.
They could be,
They're
yes.
having a little bit of trouble up
Actually,
there
I-
in Indianapolis.
So Denver's
Tony,
the-
you applied for that job.
Denver's the new
Well,
Mississippi.
he went and knocked on the door.
They are.
I went knocked on.
They wouldn't let him in, though. They wouldn't let him in, though.
I had under references Troy's name and over there like this, so they're doing a complete background check on me right now.
Look, they called me, and I told them, stay
Better
away.
hold off.
Stay
Yeah,
away. Yeah,
stay away.
stay away.
Been spending a lot of time in Mississippi.
Ray, did you get interviewed for that job?
No, I didn't.
Well, they
No, I
should
didn't.
have.
Thank the Lord.
I got a great story for you. You need to look this one up on the internet.
Okay.
Oh, that's reliable sourcing. Here we go.
No, just looked up this video. The Hershey Bears, an American Hockey League team based in
Hershey, Pennsylvania.
Hershey, Pennsylvania.
I've gone and seen them before.
A farm club for the Washington Capitals held their annual fundraiser for charity this week. Well, it's actually a couple weeks ago. And, man, was it a huge success. The Teddy Bear Toss, as it is called, is where fans bring stuffed animals to Giant Center where they play and toss them onto the ice to be collected and donated to various children's charities. Well, the result? A world record. 67,309 stuffed animals tossed onto the ice.
Holy Jesus!
When the Hershey Bears scored their first goal. Can you imagine?
How long does it take to throw 67,000 teddy bears onto the ice?
It took several minutes, and can you imagine how long it took to
clean
collect
them
them
up?
and
We got a
clean them
game to
up and
play.
bag them and tote them off?
Somebody get the Zamboni out here. We got to clear the ice.
Yeah.
That's got to be the teddy bear's biggest fear, though, is get me off of here before the Zamboni comes in.
I would say about 20 years ago when I was still coaching up in Pennsylvania,
Yeah.
we went to one of those Hershey Bear games where we threw those teddy bears.
Teddy bear toss?
Yeah,
You've seen a teddy bear toss in person.
It's unbelievable.
That's great, Tony.
It's unbelievable. I mean, it's coming all over the place, and everyone's coming in with 3 or 4 teddy bears.
Carson
and
Newman
they
will
throw
send this
them-
guy anywhere.
They throw them. They throw them
coaching up there.
from the top of the seats. And you know, those people can't throw them all the way down to the ice, so they throw them on down 2 or 3
It's
rows, and people
unbelievable.
relay
I mean,
relay
you're
them down to the
ducking.
next
And
rows.
some of the teddy bears don't make it to the ice.
Right.
So you're standing there, and you get clonked on the back.
So they relay them on down.
Yeah.
And some of those things, I saw a video of that thing, and
They're
some of those
huge.
things are bigger than an elephant.
Yeah.
They're
Big as
It's
an elephant.
It is very incredible.
Tony
it's
didn't
incredible.
bring a bear, so he just threw himself out.
Right.
there.
They do something similar at the Ice Bears games. They do the chuck
Really?
a puck, and you can chuck a puck and try and win. They put like different.
Chuck a puck. That's cool.
They put different awards on the ice, and you try to throw a foam puck on the ice. And if it lands on a thing, you win the award.
I looked this thing up, and this charity has gone worldwide. It's from countries all over the world do this.
Yeah.
But I don't know whether this is an original or not. It may be. This
Yeah,
may
it's
be
hard
the
to tell,
first
but
one.
yeah, I remember going to it when I coached up at
But look this thing up, the teddy bear toss. This is so cool. You'll love this. It takes several minutes for this to happen and clean up and get on with
Well, if
it.
it only takes
First-
several minutes, they must have a pretty good
They got,
way.
Well, they
well,
do.
They got a couple Zambonis
Yeah.
with front end loaders to go in there and scoop it all up there, and it looks.
When the Hershey Bears score their first goal, this is when this happens.
Wow.
And that is so cool. I mean,
What happens if they get shut out?
Yeah, that's the one thing.
I don't know.
I think they throw it at the very end.
I guess they let them score a goal.
You said 67,000.
67,309
And after that
stuffed
goal,
animals.
Who counts all those? I mean, do they have one person?
They have a big
interns.
They have interns. They have a lot of people to count those things.
Poxitani Phil counts
Bag them up, box them up.
Groundhog.
That's it. All right, next item.
Good story.
That is a good
Yeah,
story. I
job.
like
Good job.
that. The NTT IndyCar Series, Mike, has unveiled a new mobile medical unit that will travel with the series throughout the 2023 season. The medical trailer has 2 slide-out sections to allow plenty of space to provide care wherever the series travels and will be hauled via semi-truck. The IndyCar operates with traveling AMR safety crew, which already resulted in some of the best on-site diagnosis and treatment in the racing world. The unit is fully featured and includes 2 hospital-grade beds, an X-ray machine, a resuscitation cart, otherwise known as a crash cart, and a number of other supplies at the ready. So that thing's state-of-the-art, Mike.
They're the best in the world, and then they'll get right to a driver within seconds
Yep.
if something happens on the track. Indianapolis Motor Speedway, they have medical units on every turn, the main straightaway, the back straightaway, and they have a hospital on the infield that can do surgery on race day.
Right.
And then adding this will just be another unbelievable deal. You go to the Indianapolis 500 and you need to be stitched up, you get cut or whatever, they don't charge you a dime. You go right to those medical units and they take care of you right there.
This thing has video facilities that shows them exactly what's happening on the track, and this thing they can see exactly what's happening. They can get there in seconds.
And along that lines, Robert Wickens, several years ago got hurt.
Yes.
The driver, the paralyzed from the waist down, and they are going to build a car for him. It's already built, my understanding.
Really?
And he could run it this year in the Indy 500, but they're going to run him next year with hand controls only. He's not going to have any foot controls in the cockpit of the car.
That's so cool.
And to me, to think that a guy can operate a car going 240 miles an hour with just his hands
Goodness.
and brake that car,
I wouldn't
be a
wanna
great story.
I wouldn't want to be in the car with him.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
He's he's just so fortunate that he's going to be able to do that.
And he wants to drive again, and they're going to. Like I said, they could have it ready this year, but they think they're just not quite ready as far as the testing. But looks
Just
like
give it one more year.
2024, he's going to be in the field
Love it.
with a hand-controlled car.
Love it. Well, Steph Curry etched his name on yet another Golden State Warrior record Monday night, passing NBA legend Wilt the Stilt Chamberlain for most made field goals in the franchise's history. Curry already owns the #1 spots in games played, three-pointers made, assists, steals, and total points in a Warriors uniform. But his 38-point evening and Golden State's 128-120 win over Oklahoma City vaulted him past Wilt in made shots as well.
Well, what's amazing about that is he shot the ball from outside, and Wilt just went up there and jammed it through the hole to get his field goal. So
exactly.
That's what makes that record a little
It
bit
does.
amazing.
A little bit
more
more special
amazing.
right
Yeah.
there, doesn't it?
You know what's amazing about him is what college did he come from?
I
Steph
don't
Curry.
know. Where'd he come from?
Davidson.
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 That's right. He did.
Davidson. Not North Carolina or
Nope.
Duke or
Just-
Davidson.
just small Davidson
There you go.
Well, it's
There
got
you go.
great. Davidson's got great basketball tradition.
It does.
Had a
Yeah,
great
yeah.
coach. That coach there, Coach Trail, and I was just talking about him a few minutes ago. Lefty Drizel
Yep.
was at
Before he went-
Davidson before
before
he went to
Yeah,
Maryland.
Before he went to Maryland.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
Well, that's all for this week's sports headlines. Now let's bring the Tennessee Smokies spotlight into focus. Back to you, Gunner.
This is Mike Edwards, and we're back with former UT assistant football coach Ray Trail, Daily Times sports editor Troy Provo-Heron, and veteran sports writer Marcus Fitzsimmons, and Carson Newman, assistant football coach Tony Iruli. Tony, we've been a little bit joking around with you here this morning,
No.
and being a little bit critical. We don't like to be critical of anybody on
Never,
the show
never,
or
never.
any programs
Good
or
stand.
anything. So
Good job, Ray.
Tell us a little bit about the recruiting there at Carson Newman. I know you're a little bit excited about it. We've
Yeah.
seen where you've signed a lot of people, and you had 6 wins there in the program last year, and I know you're wanting to move forward. So tell our listeners
Well, I thought our guys
how
did
this
a very
spring's
nice
gone.
job recruiting.
Yeah.
We were especially strong in the state of Tennessee. I think it was our strongest year recruiting with the state. But, still for us to be successful, we've got to be able to get kids coming out of South Carolina, Georgia, Florida, and Mississippi, all right, in order for us to be successful. So, we've had a good combination coming off of a 6-win season. Of course, around here, the big signing that got was his quarterback, Zach Lunsford from Alcoa, which is big for us because the one thing that we have not had is really the consistency at the quarterback position. And where I believe the last 4 years we've had 4 different starting quarterbacks going into the season. So, we signed him to hopefully be the future of our offense. Of course, he knows a little bit about winning and what it takes to be a winner.
Just a little.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're very thrilled and happy that Zach's part of our program. And the thing about Division II recruiting is we're still recruiting. I mean, we're still looking for guys that have been missed on, guys that are looking to transfer. The transfer portal, even though I'm not a big fan of it, it helps some Division II programs. But the thing is, it's like I talk to other coaches. It's really the Wild West out there in terms of recruiting right now. With the transfer portal, where quarterback from West Virginia is transferred 4 different times. All that type of stuff. I just hate it. And at the Division II level, though, you have a little bit more consistency in your players. Guys not really leaving all that much, and the guys that do leave, they usually don't find what they're looking for. So it's a little bit more enjoyable from the people I talk to, coaching at that Division II level in terms of having the same type of players there for the entire 4 years. At the same time, you still try to bring in guys that are are looking to transfer in.
Well, Tony, the thing I think that I look at the major colleges are missing a lot of players in this state. They're missing a lot of players in this state. I mean, and that's where smaller colleges should come in and do a better job within the state of Tennessee.
Right.
And you just look around. They had pictures in the paper there yesterday of all the signees. Not one of them going. I think one out of the whole group that went to Tennessee,
Right.
or the university.
Right.
All the rest of them are going to smaller schools.
Right. And it, the transfer portal is really, if you look at it, it used to be that you're at a Division I school, you're signing probably about 25 scholarships you were allowed at the time. You probably signed 23 freshmen coming out of the high schools and maybe 1 or 2 transfers.
Yeah.
Now you look at the transfer portal. I mean, the Division I schools, they're bringing in maybe about 14, 15 transfers coming in. So what's done is it's lessened the scholarship opportunities for those type of kids coming out of the high schools.
Yeah.
Which in a way kind of trickles down to our level, where now we're seeing the quality of players that are now coming out of high school that are still out there available is a little bit better than it's been in the past.
I tell you what, though, in that transfer portal, I know there are players that transfer and go to another school, and I know a lot of transfers that transfer end up transferring again because it's no easy way to make it.
Well, I believe a kid going to college, I believe he should have an opportunity, if it's not working out, for him to be able to transfer, okay?
Right.
One time.
Right.
But when you're getting guys 2, 3, 4 times, now what happens, it affects in coaching. Well, my coach yelled at me for missing a tackle at practice. I'm going to be going on the transfer portal.
Right.
I mean, we've got a coach, even at Carson Newman, that checks the transfer portal every single day to see if we're losing anyone. All right, and so, the era where building up a tradition of consistency through your classes that you bring in and recruit, I think that's a thing of the past right now. NCAA has really washed their hands of a lot of this stuff, the NILs and all that. NCAA's got to step in and kind of, we feel like as coaches, get a little bit more regulation in terms of the transfer portal and how many times you can transfer and all that, because it's just a mess out there.
Yeah. I just don't. I don't think that paying players is the worst thing that you can do. It's trickled down. It's trickled down to the high schools now. Okay, the guy that was signed to Florida, he said he turned down $13 million to go to Arizona State. Well, $13 million. I mean,
no. He didn't turn down $13 million.
That's what I said.
They didn't give it to him. He agreed to get $13 million, and when he was supposed to show up, Florida said, "We ain't got it."
Yeah.
Well, I'm not showing up. Sorry.
That's right.
Carson Newman, we have NIL
he
deals.
wouldn't have turned it down.
Yeah, we got NIL deals. We go to Hardee's once a week. You get a BLT once a week. We get half off of it. All right, and so we offer the.
Well, I mean that to me is I wouldn't want that guy. I wouldn't want that guy, because how do I sell that to my other players?
I
can't understand
the story about all of this that nobody talks about is the fact that when you sign for that money and you make that obligation and you're not a proven player,
right?
Can you imagine the pressure that's on you right there?
Yeah.
It adds a lot of pressure on you. Hey, they're paying you that. You're expected to perform, and if it doesn't work out, what happens? You go to the transfer portal.
I make a lot of jokes about Spencer Rattler, but I'm pretty sure that was part of what happened last year at Oklahoma. There's a lot of pressure on you. You're the $1 million QB.
Yes.
You got to come out here and try and keep this program going, and obviously he failed in that, but
the more you get, the more is expected. Yeah. Now, in the old days, it worked the other way. You'd go out and you would perform and you'd do a good job, but then you were expected to do more because the defenses and the other teams knew you, and if you wanted to up your career a little bit more, you had to up your game a little bit more. But this deal right here just adds more pressure to all of that you've already got. Plus, if you're going to school and trying to get your schoolwork done, which is a tough deal. I know how tough. It's tough to play college basketball and play all those games and be on the road and keep your studies up. Coach Trail, he knows, and Tony and Donnie
Yeah,
everybody knows all about that went through it, and you don't need any more pressure than that, in my
I
opinion.
really think the route we're going right now, within 10, 15 years, it's unbelievable to say, going to college may become optional. Hey, we're here. You're here to play football. You got the NIL deals. You got all this stuff right here. Really, if you want to go to college, hey, you can or can't. I mean,
we're going to provide you some courses that can show you how to handle your money, take care of your money, invest your money.
And right now, you're saying that's not going to happen, but I'm telling you, that's 15, 20 years
Could
from now.
be.
I mean, that's the path. You're playing for the University of Tennessee, whether you get an education or not. You're transferring 4 different times.
That's the thing, though, is we're basically there. When you've transferred 4 times, how can you have possibly made any progress towards earning a degree?
No, none.
And
exactly. That's the point.
If you're going to, we were on track for an APR for where schools were going to be accountable for the grades that athletes were earning. The programs were going to be accountable. Well, you can't do an APR now because does the kid who's transferred twice since he left you and is still playing college ball count on your APR, or does he count on the next school's or the third school's APR?
Yeah.
That's unfortunate for Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt only gets to bowl games based on APR.
Yeah. Troy, you and Tony wasn't here last week, and Donnie wasn't here, but we talked a little bit about California. They got a law out there that they're trying to get passed that half of the money made by athletic programs in California would go into a fund for athletes. And then when they get their degree, now they have to get their degree, then the money would be held in escrow for them. And then once they graduate and stay there during their playing career for 4 years, they would be entitled to the money. Some of that money could be up to $1 million after 4 years from that athletic program.
Mm-hmm.
Now that's a little different deal. You got your education, which is what they want you to do.
Right.
And you're going to be able to get to the money, but only after you get done with your career that you have to spend 4 years at that school. So that eliminates the transfer portal, Tony.
Sure.
You see?
And, I mean, there's a lot of different ideas going out there and all that. First of all, California's got to wonder if anyone's going to be left in California. They're all moving out of the state right now.
Or it's going to fall off in the ocean.
Yeah. But we're right now we're in uncharted territory. Old timers like me and even Ray. All right, where you always built the program up. Guys in there 4 or 5 years. The bond that you have with your teammates. All that is gone. When guys are going in and out 2, 3 different times, you're here 1 year, you're gone. There's no in terms of character building in terms of the teams being put together. I mean, I think that's.
But just think of the opportunities you guys got. If they play 4 or 5 different schools. After they play, they can go back to 4 or 5 different reunions that they have at these different schools.
and you're getting college kids now graduating. They're 27, 28 years old.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
I'm a Vol for life. No, I'm a Wildcat for life. No, I believe I'm a Trojan for life.
Yeah.
I don't know what I am for life. I'm someone, somewhere.
Yeah, I mean,
something.
How old was Hooker? Right now,
25, I think.
25 years old. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, you usually graduated college when you're like 22, 23.
Yeah. And wasn't Stetson Bennett, wasn't he on up in age 2?
Yeah, he's 25.
I think so.
Yeah.
Those guys are 3 years into their pro career.
He got arrested.
Yeah, I was going to say you got to watch his alcohol a little bit.
Yeah.
But,
I don't blame him. He had a beer or 2. I mean, you win 2 national championships. Surely that's worth.
We've had a couple beers or 2 already.
He tried to run from the police.
It's not even 10 o'clock. We got a couple.
I think he deserved 2 or 3 beers myself.
Yeah, but he tried to run from the police. That wasn't smart.
Yeah. Well, he should have gotten more to the zone read against those cops.
Well, it happened at a better time. It didn't happen before the playoffs.
Right.
That's right. There's a time to.
Now he's graduated. He's a big boy now. He can make all of his own decisions.
You got that right.
Yeah.
And if his pro career doesn't work out, maybe he can, sub in and start in a JV middle school game.
Yeah. Troy, you've been awful quiet through all this discussion about money and everything.
You know how I feel, Mike. I don't need to.
I know
listeners know how I feel.
How do you feel?
I
I don't know how you feel. How do you?
Well, what's the question?
Well, the question is, you okay with all of it?
Yeah, I'm
pretty
fine.
much.
I'm fine with it.
Well,
yeah, I'm okay with it.
like he said, at Florida, he said they promised him $13 million. Well, do they pay that all at once, or you pay it over
4 years?
4 years, or you can give it to them early.
You could if you don't like money.
Well, I mean,
if you got enough of it to throw around.
Well, it's kind of like in anything else. It's kind of like the university. They'll pay a guy $10 million. It ain't coming from them. It's coming from the people.
Yeah,
right.
And that's
let me ask you this, Tony. With all of this going on and all these people out here knowing, how much kids are getting paid, it's the pros, isn't it? Pretty much. I mean, it's a pro deal.
Yeah.
So is it all right for fans? I mean, for a long time I heard, well, I don't like fans to boo these kids. They're 18 years old, they're 19 years old, they're 20 years old.
Well, that's never stopped.
But if they're making this kind of money, is it all right to show that displeasure now to these kids? If they're getting that, they need to grow up a little bit more, handle that.
Yeah. Well, like I told you earlier, I mean, we're heading towards a path where these aren't really college kids anymore. They're employees of that university, and therefore,
they don't like for you to say that.
Yeah, they don't. But that's basically what it's going towards.
What a headline we're going to have in the Daily Times tomorrow. Mike Edwards wants to boo kids.
No, I didn't say that. I'm just
and Ray Trail agrees.
I'm just saying, if you're going to be like the pros and you're going to play the pro money and you're going to put on a pro atmosphere, which, well, let's face it, it's a pro deal. You're paying the big money to coaches.
Yeah. Now, when a guy gets that NIL deal and all of a sudden he ends up not being the starting quarterback, but the third string quarterback, are they able to pull that NIL?
No.
So it's
I don't
locked
think
in.
so. I think they've already written it. Hey, it's time for a break, and when we return, the panel presents the Shelter Insurance Bowl Sports Predictions. You're listening to the Goatee Sports page, and now stay tuned for the best in local sports.
For over 50 years and 3 generations, the people of Blount County have trusted Stevenson Tire with their vehicles and their families. Our mission has always been simple: to provide quality products at reasonable prices with exceptional customer service. Featuring tire products from Michelin, BF Goodrich, Uniroyal, Bridgestone, Firestone, and Yokohama, Stevenson Tire also offers alignment and brake services at affordable prices. Stevenson Tire Company, 2411 East Broadway Avenue in Maryville. Call 983-1621 or online at StevensonTire.net.
Your newspaper, that's right. The Daily Times is your newspaper, tailored to where you live, emphasizing the things that affect you and keeping track of the people and players in our community. The award-winning Daily Times can be delivered each morning right to your door or inbox with the latest in local news and sports. For a 30-day free trial offer, call 981-1100 and begin enjoying your life, your times, every day with the Daily Times.
Dunkin' has what you need to conquer the day. So if you want to go from, I don't got this, to, I got this, well, then get this. A bold, smooth espresso drink from Dunkin'. Like a layered velvety caramel macchiato, a rich chocolatey mocha latte, or a creamy non-dairy oat milk latte. Because this day isn't going to conquer itself. No, you're going to do that. Take a sip of You Got This with Dunkin' Espresso drinks. Order ahead on the app, plus earn rewards. America runs on Dunkin'. Price and participation may vary.
The Roger L. Newman Company began in 1984 with a vision of providing Blount County with excellent heating and cooling service. Mr. Newman also wanted a real business. No gimmicks and no high-pressure sales. They just fix it or replace it. They want to stay within your budget and make you comfortable. Their motto still stands true today: call us first, we'll be there. Call Roger L. Newman Company at 982-5446 or visit online at rogerlnewman.com. Cooler temperatures are approaching. Upgrade your furnace now for as little as $50 a month.
Welcome back to the Blue Tick Tavern in downtown Maryville. This is Mike Edwards, and it's time for the panel Shelter Insurance Bowl predictions for this week. So let's get right to them. We know that Auburn doesn't have any size inside, so to speak. They're a perimeter team. I'll start with you down there, Marcus. You've been pretty quiet through all this NIL stuff. Uros Plasvik will be the star of today's game against Auburn.
False.
Short and sweet and true.
Yeah. Troy?
Yeah, false.
Coach Trail, he's big. He's due. It's Saturday. He plays better on Saturday than he does during the week.
He does play better on Saturdays.
Well, I think that's a dumb question, so I'll say yes.
Okay. All right. How about you, Tony?
What was the question again?
Uros Plasvik. You know,
Uros-
he didn't show up for the game at Florida, but he showed up for
Game
Texas.
before that.
Texas.
I've got Ray's back, so I'm going with yes.
All right, Donnie.
I have no idea, but
If you mean by he'll score 8 points, I'd say yes.
No, he's got to do better than that.
But that's about all. That's about his limit.
Yeah. I'm going to say no because I don't think he's going to be out there long enough, Coach Trail. He's going to be yanked. He's going to be yanked. Somebody's going to do
I'll
something.
tell you what,
He'll get in foul trouble.
Do we get to count warming up? Do we count the warming up?
get the
if he
hook.
if makes any warming up, does that count?
No. Hey, let's move on here.
Yeah, let's do.
All right, Troy, we'll start with you. If Cincinnati doesn't get the roughing the passer call, they are in the Super Bowl.
Now, I still think, and there's like 8 seconds left or something like that.
Yeah.
I'm not. That in no world am I ever betting against Patrick Mahomes to get 10 yards on that last play and still be in field goal range for Harrison Butker. They were losing the game anyway.
Yeah.
They had their chance, the possession before, and they didn't go down the field and score. And you gave it to somebody who I think is going to retire as the best player of all time, and he did what he does.
Marcus?
I think Cincinnati wins, just because it came down to a play. If they don't pick up the flag, they're not in position to kick it. Sure, Mahomes has got one thing, but is it improbable? Yeah, maybe he can pull something off, but they got real fortunate to get the call that they got.
Yeah. Tony?
Was it tied up at the time that?
Yeah.
Yeah, tied up.
Yeah.
Got a rougher, they roughed Mahomes out of bounds.
Right,
and
yeah.
I don't know. I didn't put
I mean, it was definitely the correct call. And if it was not, if it wasn't called, then I think the field goal would have been too long and they go in overtime. And I think.
Wait, what was Butker's kick? 44 yards. So take the 15 away. It's a 59-yard
Yeah.
kick.
Right.
He's made kicks like that before, so
He
they're
has.
in range for his leg already. And we still had and they still had time for one more play. They were going to get 5-6 yards and still be in position for.
Did they have a timeout left?
No, but it's a
They
quick
had no
out.
timeouts.
Yeah. I just think he probably may have. The odds are he probably would have missed it being 59 yards, but I still think that the Chiefs would have won in overtime.
Donnie?
If it goes to overtime, the Chiefs are going to win it
Yep.
anyway. So,
Coach
yeah.
Trail?
I agree with that.
Yeah.
With what?
Yep.
The Chiefs would have won.
I'm
in
going to
overtime.
make the guy that had the roughing the penalty call feel good. I think most of us are, because that guy felt bad. I felt really bad for him. I don't think he deliberately did that. I think his momentum just kind of happened.
But it's things like that just drives a coach crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like.
And listen, Patrick Mahomes, he's hurting, man. I mean, he was really limping around out there.
he
And
was.
I don't know how effective he would have been in overtime, but maybe a halfway Patrick Mahomes is all you need when you got that kind of talent.
He's
And
guts. Finds a way.
He's the Curry of football, isn't he? If you compare big time names.
Carson Newman could use a Patrick Mahomes, don't you think?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hopefully that guy from Alcoa can be that next the future.
Tom Brady, will he make another comeback? We've heard this story before from him. Is he going to make? Is he done or not? Coach Trail, I'll start with you. Is he done?
He's done. He's done. I think it. I'm not saying all the way done. Somebody may offer him some
The Fox.
outrageous.
He's going to go to Fox for millions.
$100 million.
$100 million.
Somebody offer him $1 jillion, he'd go play. But I think he's done, really.
I think it depends on today or this week, because I think he's studying and seeing what kind of money and what kind of performance is required from the Manning brothers for the Pro Bowl weekend, so that he knows, what could be expected of him in a year or two down the road, to know whether he's ready to take that step.
Well, you saw the video. He was at the beach. He probably had about 7 or 8 beers before he made that.
He was also on the verge of crying, and I I have to imagine it was a really tough year.
It's still emotional.
I have to imagine it was a really tough year for Tom, and to make matters worse, he didn't play up to the standard we're used to seeing Tom Brady play at.
Yeah, but look what he had around him.
I think it's over. I think he's
Had
done.
around him, you
And
know.
never forget who retired Tom Brady. It was the damn Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah. What do you think, Tony?
I think Tom's done. I think he's come
done enough.
to terms. I mean, it's
He's
for
done
him to
enough.
start all over again. I just think that.
What else does he have to prove?
Yeah.
Donnie,
and the New England's going to.
George Blanda, was the quarterback.
Yeah.
And he went to kicking extra points.
Right.
This is what I
can
say.
Brady kick points?
We saw some things this year with quarterbacks where even the Titans signing Josh Dobbs and starting him 6 days later. If you have a situation like that next year and you're a San Francisco, for instance, you might make that call to Brady and he might take it. So he might not be done.
Well, keep this in mind, too. The USFL starts up this month.
Tom Brady will
Tom's
never
not
play
pro-
for the
yeah,
USFL.
Tom's not playing USFL.
I can say that with direct certainty that Tom Brady will never play for the USFL.
Are they going to do all their games in Birmingham again like they did?
I think so, yeah.
No, I think they're doing home games.
Oh,
now.
are they really?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Are they?
Games this year?
Yeah.
That's good.
Tennessee will defeat Auburn today by at least 10.
That's what the spread is, 9.5.
By at least 10. Donnie?
At least 10. I'd say 10's a pretty good number, so I'm going to go with the spread.
Tony?
Yeah, I think they'll get after him pretty good.
I think Tennessee's
I
going
agree.
to play well today.
No.
Marcus hates Tennessee.
No.
He can't stand them. I'm going to say
cover.
yes. They're giving out glow sticks to all the
Glow
people.
sticks?
Yeah, to all
What
the
are-
people
what
in
are-
attendance.
what are glow sticks? I
When
don't-
they turn off the lights during the sporting lineups, they're going to have everybody doing the
Nope.
sticks, and
Nope.
it's going to be
No, after the first goal by Tennessee,
it's gonna be-
Tennessee, they're going to throw 61,000 of
How
them out
much
on the
did
court.
that cost them? Because they
Don't
didn't
worry.
even meet their budget last
Don't
year.
worry about
they're operating in,
Don't worry about
in
it.
the red,
It's fine.
and they're buying
We're
glow
not-
sticks.
Mike, they're not worried about
Marcus,
that.
They're buying glow sticks, and they can't even meet their budget.
You
What's
don't know.
going on?
They could have been left over from last year.
Yeah.
I mean,
If you
I-
have, if
they're
you have
gonna be a
migraine
clearance
headache,
sale.
They're going
don't
to
go
do
today.
they're going to do the deal from the Hershey Bears as soon as the first basketball goal.
Everybody throws the
they're
light
going to go
sticks onto the
61,000.
glow sticks.
All
I
at
think
all at Bruce Pearl. They're going to throw it all.
I think it's going to be obviously a packed gym with Bruce.
I think, brother, if
and
Auburn wins, they're going to cut the ass off of a horse and throw it.
I didn't quite think of that one either.
Coach Trail, will Tennessee beat Auburn by at least 10 today?
No.
No. I think that Tennessee, Bruce Pearl coming in here, I think this is going to be a competitive game. If it was, I don't know, Missouri, Missouri's coming in here next Saturday.
Yeah.
But I know Auburn, being down 20 is not going to bother them. I mean, they're going to come at you for. I think it's going to be a lesson. I think Tennessee, I would project them to win.
Yeah.
But I think it's
It'd
going
be a tighter game.
I think it's going to be a little bit tighter than 10.
Well, I tell you what, I do that because I thought Tennessee looked terrible in the last game. Now, how much can you change
Can you
in 3
bounce
or 4
back?
days? I don't know.
Yeah.
But I disagree with the way they're doing it, and I'm sorry, but I think it's
defense.
going to cost them.
I think defense plays better today.
Huh?
I think defense plays better today. They handle Wendell Green Jr. and they take care of business. Mike's shuffling through
Mike?
papers now.
What are you doing? What-
He's
what-
panicking.
I was going to go to my next one, but I didn't get to the Lady Vols today.
Oh, gracious.
The Lady Vols in their next game will shoot better than 15.8% better on three-point shots in their next game.
It's hard not to do that.
3 points?
I mean, the bar is in hell if that's the bar. But I will I'll say they'll shoot better. Maybe 17, 18,
So
19.
you're asking, can they do better than 2
I guess
to
what
14?
led me to that is
I'll say
they
yeah.
won the game the other night against Ole Miss. And
should.
Ole Miss is, fourth in the SEC, and they beat them 65-51. And the Lady Vols were 25 for 69 from the field at 36%, 3 for 19 at 15%, 12 for 18. I don't know. Do they?
Well, that's a dumb question.
Is the answer yes all the way around?
Yeah, I think they'll shoot better. That's a really hard percentage to not be better than.
Okay.
All right.
right.
The SEC in women's basketball is horrible.
Okay.
It's horrible.
Donnie, we got to get out of here.
We do.
Blow that whistle, buddy.
Blow it.
Hey, that'll do it for today's edition of the Goatee Sports Page. Thanks to Aaron Ishmael at Loud Media, our host, the Blue Tick Tavern, and all our sponsors. For Donnie Moore, Ray Trail, Marcus Fitzsimmons, and Troy Provo Heron. Until next Saturday, this is Mike Edwards, the Greenfield Gunner, wishing everyone good sports.
And that's the final whistle. Join us again next Saturday for the Goatee Sports Page. The best in local sports since 1978.